Hi everyone, welcome to round 10 from the Major Open of the 2013 British Chess Championships. Nearly there now, just one more to go after this. And I need to win the last two games to get 100%, but I got yet another tough draw playing Alex Freeland of Nf3 Nc6 and a FIDE of only 1844, which was surprising given that his previous Nc6 was 177. No easy games in this event, I'm afraid. Apart from that 1994, which is the second highest I've played so far, which I did most in round 1, round 2. But yeah, he played E4, and I had a look at his games the previous night, all from E2, E4 events, and I saw he played the King's Gambit against E5 all the time. And I also looked for his games against the French, and saw he played 3 knight C3, but I could only find a game against this line. Knight C3, oops, not that. Knight C3. I couldn't find anything against the winner, so if I knew he allowed the poison pawn or something, I'd play the winner, but it turns out he plays a stupid Knight G2 gambit, which is dangerous to accept, or you get completely mullered. But after Knight 6 he plays Bg5, and there wasn't anything against the McCutcheon either, which is another line which I like. It was just against this dull line, which I'd never ever play. It's not a line which I'd like to play from the black side. This. But I saw I played 1 E5. It is. I'm ready to prep for his King's Gambit, which never actually came because for the 52nd time there was people avoiding prep. It's so annoying as you waste all your time, all that valuable time you could be doing something else, and you prep and you just avoid it every single time. I mean, I avoided this as well, which involves watching all my videos and hopefully getting the views up, and hopefully he's watching this one currently. But yeah, I'd done all this prep for the King's Gambit, ready to hack it up with this Gambit, which I will maybe do a video on at some point. But yeah, Knight 3 was played, shock horror, and after Knight C6, I got my first ever Royal Lopez over the board. Despite this being about the 20th game I've played 1 E5, I never seem to get the Lopez. I should have got him round 1 if that guy hadn't avoided prep. So, what do I play? Do I play the open variation? Which might have been the best choice. But I'd forgot most of the lines. But what I did was very stupid this actually. Right, think yourself, you're playing against someone who's played the King's Gambit all the career, that's going to just change. So what opening do you not play? The reverse King's Gambit. What motivated me to play the Schliemann for the first time over the board as well? I've hacked 3 people with it online at Blitz, but this is probably dubious for this game. It's just the reverse King's Gambit. But I did play the chicken line at least, D3. This is the critical test of the Schliemann. Then you got stuff like takes, knight f6, and play gets very sharp. I think you play queen e2, and black has to be very careful. But you play the chicken line d3, which I think allows black a good position after takes and knight f6. Then he castled, and I played Bc4, and now I thought the main move is to play queen e2. Because now if I stupidly castle, if I stupidly castle, then that actually drops a piece, rather comically. And also, not only did it start from castling, but also the queen takes the e pawn. I have to play something like d6 and then knight into c3. It seems very good for white's position, but now at least I can castle. And say bishop takes, pawn takes, check anyway, king to corner. Then maybe this is quite dangerous. Although it seems black can defend with it. Actually, it seems black can defend with this move. But we'll have to watch out for these things. But Bg4 was played. And now I did feel very uneasy because now there's a simple play of knight c3, knight d5. And also there's still potential ideas like the bishop takes c6 and knight takes c5. because now it's pinned. So I played d6 to protect my pawn, and now knight c3, and I thought this is a very bad position. This, I'm not sure what I've even done wrong, because all of a sudden there's knight d5 next, and if it takes, then I've got to take with the g pawn and open my king up. I mean, I actually looked at castling after knight d5, just sticking the king in the corner, because if he ever like takes, then then I can actually move I can actually use the g file for attack potentially, and also play f5, so maybe it's not too bad. I think this is fine, this, but of course he doesn't have to take immediately. He can just play it under pressure, like maybe move his knight and play queen f3, and his pin's actually very hard to break. I've got to like play bishop e6 and give that bishop up. It's not good. So I played a6, trying to, well, I wanted to, something I wanted to do actually, I can't remember. I was hoping to play bishop takes c6 actually, so I could control the d5 square. It cost a double pawns, but he plays bc4, which also stops him from castling and prevents bishop e6. And now I played knight a5. My idea was to chase the bishop off this diagonal at the cost of sidelining my knight, and it went back to e2. And now I played bishop e6, so at least if his knight comes into d5, I can like get rid of it at the cost of the bishop pair in quite an open position. You can also consider playing bishop takes f6, because if queen takes f6, knight d5, queen's got to go back, and then after something like h4 is a move. Maybe h4 is an interesting idea, trying to cement a knight on g5, something this is actually very bad for black. But he played a3, which threatens a cheapo with b4, so I moved my knight back into the game, and now the knight comes into d5. So this is an awful position, this. The opener's definitely not been a success. I did look briefly at castling, and then so I could maybe got this plan again of using the g file for attack, and then f5 to chip away white c4 pawn with the f pawn, but you can just ignore it, because the knight's not going anywhere. I think say b4, bishop a7, and in fact then play bishop takes f6, g takes f6, because you give the bishop up to keep this very strong knight. And if I ever take it, then the queen comes into the massive hole on d5 with check. And something like bishop c4 is just very good for white. This is not what you're looking for if you play the Schliemann, that's for sure. So I decided to get rid of the knight. It was really bugging me. And he took back. And I made maybe I could have gone back to e7 actually, but again I was trying to prevent this idea at all costs. But it's actually, and then he's got knight h4 and castles, and then stuff like queen d3. I looked at trying to get pieces into f5. It's just very like uncomfortable. So I put my knight into d4, so at least get some pieces off. Bishop takes, and now c3, kicking the bishop back to a7, so at least my bishop can eyeball the white king. And then maybe if I get a bit of luck, I can castle and try and hack his f2 pawn off the board, because at least I've got my open file on the Schliemann. And I plays bishop h5 check, which is a very good move actually, because it forces me to provoke a weakness with g6, and then the h6 square becomes very weak, and my dark squares around my king become very weak as well, because of course I can't take it because it pins. So g6 is played, bishop goes back, again I can't take it, and now it's going to come into e6 with check. If I play h6, this just seems to create even more weaknesses, but I think he can play something like bishop e3 and challenge my bishop, and now he's got the open f file after castles, bishop e6 check, king a7, and something like queen c2. White is significantly better. So I castled into it, because at least I'm defending my knight, and at least he can't try and rip open the f file with f4, because my wonderful bishop is pinning his pawn. And now he didn't actually play the check, surprisingly. I expected the check, but he actually played queen f3, which actually is actually not a very good move. It's actually a little tactic which I missed. What I missed was I can actually now in this position take the bishop, because if he takes my queen, then I take his queen. He has to take back, and then we Desperado on f2. Guess that he takes this pawn. And I haven't actually got any good discoveries, but I can just actually move the rook and attack his bishop and say he takes this guy. Take this. And the final result is a slightly better rook and pawn ending for black, because white's got more pawn islands. Of course, white doesn't have to be so cooperative and can just take that the knight. But I've got rid of a piece that was bothering me, and I can just move my queen in. I've actually got rid of the light square bishop, which is a massive thing, because now this e6 hole doesn't mean as much. And again, black should be fine, and I can look for dynamism down the f-file. But I played king g7, just protecting the f6 point again. He played queen h3, which forces my next move pretty much, because of bishop h6 check, which is h5, which is moving the pawn in front of my king, but it's not so bad. Now bishop d7 was a good move, but it came to e6 as expected, and I finally unpinned with queen e8, so I'm just getting back into the game. Bishop e3, because I had maybe some threats down the f-file, so he neutralizes my bishop. He took the queen. I thought he might take with the pawn to open up the f-file, but it doesn't seem too dangerous after queen e7. Queen takes e3, and now I played knight d7, which is not a very good move, and it's played after quite a lot of thought. I was looking, I remember, to try and probe his queen side. I was looked at queen b5 for ages, which actually hits 2 pawns. But I thought I could just play this to easily defend him, but actually I get the initiative after knight e4. And so actually he probably has to play he can play c4, but he can also play c4 as well. If queen takes c4, then he's going to get a rook to the 7th, so I can't take that. If I take the other one, the b1, then it also gets a rook to the 7th, so I've probably got to like do this, and then we get an interesting ending where I've got double pawns and he's got a nice bishop, but I've still got counterplay. But I played knight d7. I was trying to aim for the c5 square, but the problem is the knight just easily gets booted away. In fact, I'm really surprised he didn't just play b4 to stop it, but he played c4 instead. I'm trying to get like a c5 break in and trying to undermine my queen side and open the c-file for his rooks, similar to my game against Toei. I didn't come into c5 immediately because I thought after knight c5, bishop h3, I couldn't find a follow-up, but I've got this interesting move, queen a4, where b4 is answered by the knight hopping into b3, and then it comes into d4 as well. And all of a sudden, black's got the superior minor piece, so this is not good for white. And in fact, it's difficult. He can't stop coming into b3 actually, so it's another missed opportunity. I played rook f4 instead, trying to like get stuff like rook e4 and knight e4 in. That was my distant plan. Rook ac1, aiming to get the c5 advance in, so I stopped it by blocking it with my knight. Attacking his bishop, which goes back to h3, the only square. And now this is where I did another thing. And I also the best move for h is rook e4, but I just didn't like the look of it. The rook only being protected by the knight, which can easily be kicked away by b4. I was a bit worried about that. I've been paranoid. But then the best of queen g3, we've got rook d4, and actually black's starting to get the upper hand in this position. If he tries keeping the queen on the rook, threatening b4, then actually we've got queen a4 again. And if b4, we swing the rook into f8 first, the queen has to move, and then knight b3, and black's got a completely dominating position. But instead I played this garbage move instead, which just doesn't do anything after, because he just played b4 and left. And now white's got the upper hand again, and now c5 came. And I realised I'm going to get blown away on the queen side now. And so what I need to do is I need to get some counterplay on the king side, so I logically move my knight towards the king side, also threatening the d5 point, so it gets defended. And now this is where it gets very interesting, because I should have put my knight into g4, but I just thought I'll give his bishop up, and okay, I've got that annoying bishop, but then he takes, then doubles on the c-file, and I've not got enough really counterplay. Also, when he doubles on the c-file, it's going to win my queen. So I thought after rook c2 is quite nasty, or queen b6. I mean, I don't see how this is any good for black, because rook c7 is coming next. So I've got to play something like this, and then maybe he's got this. but d4. Yeah, I don't see how this can be fine for black, but there we go. These were positions. I saw positions like them. Instead, I used knight into e4, but this is a blunder because I completely missed that you can just play g3, and I was like, whoops, I've lost a piece. Because if I sort of saw this move, I had the original intention of actually just playing knight takes f2, but I forgot that after g takes f4, his queen defends the bishop. So I was thinking of sacking the exchange for a pawn for him to try and get some initiative on white's king. But I forgot I can't take the bishop for free because the queen protects it, so I've got to take the rook and then piece down for a pawn and I can resign. And if rook takes, he just takes my knight and then my rook's hanging as well. So the only move was queen g5 to pin the pawn. So now bishop comes back to g2, and now my knight's attacked twice, and it's just awful. So I tried one last cheapo, which everything seems to, it does protect a piece, but the only problem is well, there's quite a few problems. One is he can just take my queen. After I take it back, just play this check, and it wins a pawn on b7. This is quite bad. But he's got a lot stronger than that. This is your test of the. This is your test. This white to play and win material. All he had to do was just simply. The strongest move actually was just to move the queen back to e2. Just maintain the tension. And now, although I can move my knight back, this is actually pretty crushing this. Ouch. And if my king goes backwards, then this is also really bad. Okay, I can go queen h6 if he goes h4, but you can play h3 first, force the rook to here, take it, and then take him b7. This is just awful. Queen e7 to g7 mate next. This is very nasty. But he played h3 instead, which looks very strong as well, but it has a massive flaw to it, which he almost blundered. I think he blundered. Because after queen takes e3, I can't believe my looks. After f takes, rook takes g3, the bishop is pinned. Wow. And now c takes d6, c takes d6. Now we find a very good move actually, which is pretty good, because I thought after blundering he'll probably just lash out of rook c7 check, king h6, and then if he takes this pawn I can play rook c8, and this is crushing for black because rook c2 with decisive penetration is next. But he played rook c4 first, which forces my knight back to a bad square. And now we played the check. I also thought he might flip this in first, king h2. But then of course I got rook takes c3, so he plays rook c7 check first, king's h6, and now I thought this was a very strong move at the time, rook f7, and it was a strong move because I played the complete howl after this, but he should have just grabbed the pawn. And if I grab this one, rook b6, knight e8 is forced, and then after a4, this is a very interesting endgame where white's a pawn down but can create a pass pawn at queenside pretty fast. And also the bishop's a lot stronger than my knight. After rook f7, I actually forgot about that. I can still utilise the pin with knight e4 and keep the knight in an active square, and then actually I'm all of a sudden just become a pawn for nothing. But I went back to g8 because I forgot about e4. I can use that, and now it's very bad for black because now I'm playing the piece down basically, and it's also equal material. I looked at grabbing this pawn, but I just thought he played something like rook d7, so if I grab this one as well. And he's a bit too much initiative in this position for my liking. Okay, my knight gets back in, but then rook e6. I can slam this one forward. e5's hanging. This is not good. So I played rook c8 because I want to try and get the initiative, because I'd rather have the initiative than be defending. But the annoying thing is now he plays rook f1, And now his rook's coming to f7, and he's also got ideas of h4, shooting my king out of g5, and then I get mated on h7, which would be rather embarrassing. So I decided that rook c2 was pretty worthless because he just plays rook f2, so I decided to grab an extra pawn. Now h4 was played, so you can see his intentions. Rook f7 to h7 is mate, and I was also in time pressure. Although we was nearly at the time control now. I played g5, which is just to stop his mating threats. A bit of a panic move. He played rook d7, attacking this pawn. I've got to take this one, and he takes this one. And now I've raised my king forward into g5. And now I played rook c6, which is the interesting point in the game in this, where I should have brought the knight back into the game. I was just a bit paranoid that this bishop would be too strong if the knight takes. But after rook c1 I didn't like this position, but knight d6, because the knight is the best blockade of a passed pawn. No piece blockades better than the knight. And I can try a4 trying to create his passed pawn, but then I get knight f5. Say bishop f1 to harass my a6 point. I counter attack his b point, and then say if he takes this, take this. I'm a pawn up. I mean, I'm probably not going to win because I've got double pawns. It's probably going to draw this after some defending, but I can't lose this position. Instead, I took the rook, which is a bit daft because now he's got a very dangerous passed pawn, but it's far from queening. And in fact, I played a good move. I played rook c3 because rooks belong behind passed pawns. a4 was played. And now this started to panic. So he's going to get about 52 passed pawns. And now this is where I played. Well, I should have brought another chance to bring the knight back into the game. Let's say if he plays b5, takes e4, get some counterplay going. And now the b pawn can advance because I've cut his bishop off using my wonderful knight. You can try rook b1, but then maybe I get counter attack with king f4. Then b6 you can try. Well, actually, this is quite strong. This is bishop h3. Actually, I've got to give my rook up according to this. But the fact is, I've got 3 pawns for the rook, and he hasn't got any pawns left. So maybe I can get a sort of fortress for my own king and knight. Like if I play a knight into g4 in this position, and he takes, then this is actually a draw. This because the 3 pawns are too far advanced. If I have to try, so I could be almost winning this, but it's a draw. But I played h3 going for some desperate counter attack. Because after bishop h1, again I should have brought the knight back into the game. I mean, I'm very stupidly playing a piece down in this position. But I played rook c2, threatening the cheapo with h2 mate. But he saw that, and in fact now I am in trouble. So I've got to move the rook to c4, and he's got bishop d5, fucking my rook and knight. I played rook g4 check, which is also very bad because he went king h2, and now this is starting to get into lost territory. Because I finally realised my mistake of bringing the knight back into the game. I could have brought this in millions of times, but I chose the worst moment because now he just plays c7. Of course the bishop is immune. And now I could think of nothing better now after this long thought of just getting an endgame like in my game against Phil, where I'm a piece down for a pawn, but he's only got 1 pawn left, and I'll have a lot more counterplay in that game because my pawns are advanced, and I've got a more active king. So we went for a long force line. I gobbled this pawn. Rook f7, the only move to keep the winning position. After block with the knight, and now rook f8, harassing the knight, so I've got to move it to d6. And now rook d8. And now of course the only move I've got to defend against the queen and the pawn is to throw in this check, drop this pawn and rook c2. And he takes. So I'd seen all this. And then I got to this position where it's plenty of drawing. Unlike in my game against Phil, which was over straight away, there's plenty of drawing chances. My pawns are on the 4th rank already. My king's very active, and his pawn is not going anywhere. He's still quite far away from queening. And I've also got rid of that annoying knight, at least I had. The only problem is that the bishop is very good in these type of positions. So it's going to be a long, grueling task. I played rook c3 check to force his king back, to cut his king off. I considered moving my rook to a3 in this position to stop his pawn from advancing, because as we know, rooks belong behind passed pawns. I decided to use another motto, which is passed pawns must be pushed, but I think I should have thrown another check in, because this actually forces king back even further if he wants to avoid a draw, because if he comes forward again I can just check again, so he's got to go back to g1 and then maybe push. I played h4, rook a8, preparing to check me from the side and get his pawn going. I played the claim if I checked. So I've played this endgame very poorly, but at least there's a few encouraging signs. King g1, the best square. And now I should have had to check again. His king would have to come this way to avoid a draw. And now I push because my king's a bit further away, so it's a little improvement. If king g3 I can always check him away, because bishop f3 is met by e4, which is a draw. Because he has to now he has to like drop his bishop. So after rook c3 he'd have to block, but I think this is still pretty bad. Maybe rook d3. Or maybe I'm holding. It'd be nice if someone in a strong player in the comments watching this game could tell me what's the evaluation of this ending for this rook and 2 pawns for rook, bishop and pawn, because it seems quite close. King f4 was played, which is very bad, but he didn't play a5 for some reason, which seems to win instantly. Instead he did a pointless check. I went to g3, which actually threatens, well, it doesn't actually threaten me, but it threatens maybe mating ideas, so he checks me away. The funny thing is, if I go to h3, then that is a rather embarrassing checkmate in one move, and it will be the second game I've been made in this endgame. King f4, and now rook g2 to shield his king from my rook, but now that actually, well, I played correctly, I checked. If king f goes to f2, then amazingly enough e4 is drawing, because he's got nothing better to do really than give his bishop up. And if he takes, I'm just gonna, the a pawn's pretty simple to win. I just play rook a1, stop him from advancing. His rook's tied down to it, and I'm going to slowly match the king over and pick it off. So we had to go to h2 to keep alive winning chances. And now I went for e4, so I'm starting to play well now. This pawn could be pretty dangerous. He played king h3, and now I had to throw in this check in. He has to play rook h2. Another problem with this position as well that I have is that, like in the game against Phil, if I get the rooks off, it's still not a clear draw, because his bishop controls the a pawn's queen square. It's remarkable I've had 2 endgames of this type in one tournament. So I've got to keep the rooks on. Because I'm just going to get these pawns just going to get mopped up, and then his a pawn or queen. So of course I have to keep the rooks on, and I move my rook to a1, I would do to stop the passed pawn. Bishop c6, and then maybe push now. And there's still a bit of life in this position. But I played my trump card too fast. I went e3 far too quickly in this position. Now he checks me away. Now the bishop cuts my pawn off for any rook e4 winning it. I played rook e1 to protect it, and now this pawn bites the dust. And as soon as I drop the d pawn, I'm lost. E pawn, I'm lost, because I can't even try swindling the wrong rook pawn ending. K1, king g2, and now it's just too simple. Rook a3, king f1. This pawn's not going to go anywhere. I use much for kinging, but now he just cuts my rook off. And I resigned at this point because it's just an easy win from this position. It's move 73 this as well, so it's a very long 6-hour game it was. It was the last game in the whole Major Open to finish, which sort of makes up for that Rapid game where I was the first one in the whole Rapid to lose. But it's another defeat. And now I'm starting to on the brink of actually losing FIDE points. and hopefully I can win my 11th game, which I will show you later today, and that will conclude my personal series on the British Championships after 23 games. But I've got other games to do. I'm just going to do a massive series on it altogether, because I've not got a tournament for a couple of weeks, and I'm still off. So there's not much else to do in this videos. But I hope you enjoyed this game and video. It was very hard losing the game, especially a game which I was holding at long points. But it's an interesting, instructive game. And a reminder maybe not to play the Janish Gambit again in long play. But please leave in the comments some thoughts. Thanks very much.